I was astonished when found letters of wife's 30-year affair, and paternity test showed all 4 kids aren't mine and she STD'd me. My wife of 35 years passed away 3 years ago. Sorting out her things to be recycled. I found out she had a AP from the first year we were married to 7 years ago when he passed away. We have 4 sons, and through the letters and later from texts, he believes that one of them is his son. So 3 weeks ago the kids asked me to take a DNA tests, as 2 say they're mine and 2 not sure, so 5 tests were sent to be tested. No, I didn't know she was having an affair as I worked nights for the whole marriage. She could gaslight with style. I suspected nothing. We have 4 sons all over 20. They all say they hope I'm their bio dad as they know the scumbag the letters and texts are from. One of my sons got drunk and told everyone what I found out. Now everyone in the village is asking me why I never suspect her. I told them I worked nights and no one in the village told me, all this time a laughingstock, but I will soon find out what songs are actually mine. Update: 2 of the 5 DNA tests are back. My 2 sons phoned me to tell me that they got their DNA test results back. Eldest and second eldest, it seems that there are only 1 half brothers. I will have to wait till mine comes back. All 4 sons will be home this weekend so I can see their online DNA page results. If the other 2 get theirs back, we will have to work out what's happening. If they have any other 1/2 siblings/full siblings. If so, who they are and what their dad's name of his other 1/2 sibling. I need my results as well so I can see who's mine. Update 2. Okay, this started when my wife passed away 3 years ago. We married in 1986. Waiting for a post-mortem that took 2 weeks. Needed the paperwork so we could put her to rest. The sons and I decided to start recycling her things she left behind, charging up old phones, laptops to see if they still worked, and going through her papers. We found a cache of love letters and texts she had kept hidden from me. Long story short, she had been having an affair that started in the first year of the marriage, about 6 months in, until he passed away 7 years ago. Cancer. So his last text says a month before he passed away I checked him out and he did die of cancer. I didn't know a thing about it as I worked nights. Backstory: we met at a holiday camp in Scotland in 1979. We dated till we married in 1986. She came from a small village. We married and live in this village until her death. Finding the hidden love letters from he AP, I find out he thought that one of the kids we had was his. We have 4 boys. I also found out I was the laughingstock with the whole village, that they all knew. I've lived in this village for 30+ years and I'm still an outsider. Blind as a bat. I worked permanent nights 4 days a week. I didn't see any red flags. Even now looking back I still don't. Seems she could gaslight for Scotland in the Olympics. He was a friend of the family. From talking to our kids they knew nothing. They say he was never around late at night. If he came to the house he always left by 2100 hours or 9 p.m. I left for work around 21:30 or 9:30 p.m. if you don't do 24-hour hours. From the letters and texts it was well known in the village, and that I'm the laughingstock. The boys 2 want an DNA test and 2 don't. 2 think it might be them, the other 2 say I'm their dad. Revenge: I own the plot next to where her mom and dad are buried. She wanted to be next to them, mom and dad one side, her AP on the other. Found that out from the texts on her phone and the graveyard registry. So when the body and paperwork was released I had her body moved 300 miles away down to England and buried in a grave down there. One regret: I didn't have time to cremate her first. The village is pissed at me as I moved out back to England, nowhere near her grave, a place that I don't go to. I told them they made me an outsider for the 30+ years I lived in the village, and they never forgave me for being born in England. That they all knew what she was doing and never told me. That they can't complain about me not putting her to rest next to her AP or her mom and dad. And here's the kicker: if they want to move her grave, they will need a judge to allow them to dig her up and move her, and that I own the plot and will never allow her in there. DNA tests: all the kids had a meeting and wanted DNA tests done on all of us. They got 5 tests, we did them and posted them. Edit: I forgot to tell you I have taken a STD test and failed. Seems she gave me the clap. Doctors say it can be controlled but can't be gotten rid of. It will always be in my blood. They don't know how much damage has already been done or for how long I have had it. But being as the youngest is 20 and is clear, I would say under 20 years. Now let's listen to some comments on this part from our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. Man, you should move out of that village. They didn't accept you from the beginning. I think it's better to leave that place. Sell the plots or houses if you have them. These people didn't realize what they had done, laughing at a wounded man. Should be ashamed of themselves to be called a man. These CNTs didn't have balls, they just knew how to pour salt on the wound. If these CNTs didn't bother him before for telling what is happening behind his back, then they don't have rights to tell him, or get angry where he wants his wife's grave. OP reply. I moved out as soon as I could. The kids still go back now, and then as their mother's sister still lives there, they are close to her. The village has an open community meeting every 3 months. When I have the evidence, I will drop the bombshell. It seems to me some in the village have very loose morality. I wonder how many will panic and how many wives/husbands will need STD tests. With DNA tests, the sites also shows you if you have any other relatives that's been tested, and how you're related. We did both main DNA sites. Comment 2. Leave that sad little village behind. If she has any remaining family there, it wouldn't surprise me if one of them sues you to get the body back. And if they can't get a remedy in the civil courts, they might just take the law into their own hands. Be prepared, this is going to get ugly. OP reply. She has been planted, they will need a court order to dig her up, and they won't get one, and to dig her up without one is a long stay in the big house. I also own the grave that wants to put her in next to her mom and dad, and her AP on the other side. The other side of her mom's grave is full. They can try to put her in the graveyard, but not between her mom/dad and her AP, plus they need a court order to re-intern her. Update 3. Yes, all 5 results are back from both sites. Ancestry and 23andMe. Let me tell you, we're sorting through the results we got. Checking them, seems that my family line stops with me. The surname will carry on, but no part of my blood will. All 4 boys are 1/2 siblings, and all 4 of them have other 1/2 siblings. That shows up on their results pages, Ancestry, that show if there's other DNA results near to your results, and how you're related. One we thought was AP son was not, it was a different one. He has 2 1/2 brothers and 2 1/2 sisters. He is the second in line by 3 months. So his dad's wife was 4/5 month pregnant and showing a baby bump when he was conceived. Older brother. One has 1.5 brother and 2 1/2 sisters who he is the middle child. 23andMe. God help him with an older sister. By 2 years, the last one of the 4 is the eldest, by a year, to his 1/2 sibling a brother, and is a real arsehole. He will get his face punched if he starts crap with my son, short fuse much, so if you've not worked it out, none of the boys are mine and none of my blood in their veins. None of them have the same father. We were sorting through the results we got from 2 independent DNA sites. First week in September at the compulsory community open village meeting, it's the one that vote in new people, everyone will shows to stop being nominated into office. I will have all my ducks in a row. Countdown has started, getting ready to go nuclear on their arses. 1. I know a few divorces will be started and some crap people will be run out of the village. There might be a heart attack or 2. 2. Make 70 copies of texts and love letters. Made. 70 made. Check. DNA. 3. Tests results and links copied. Check. Watch this space. Update 4. I've been asked to update. Stop it already. I will update when I have something to post. The die has been cast. I got hold of the chairperson and asked if I could talk at the meeting, as a lot of people want to know why my wife was not buried in the local graveyard. Why is my house in the village unoccupied? I asked if I can do the talk before they hold the election, so I can get to work on time. I don't even work in Scotland now. I got an email back saying they would welcome me to talk at the meeting as I still own a house in the village, and because of my work commitments I will be able to talk first. The bomb has been planted and set. Edit 1. Being an election meeting, the people in office, except the secretary who's needed to take notes, are no longer in those offices until voted in again. The village priest opens the meeting and runs the elections until all places are filled. Then they take over from the priest till the next election. Edit 2. A lot of people asked me what a town bike is. Town bike equals anyone can ride it. A UK saying. Update 5. Today I got a phone call from my sister-in-law, first one in a year, telling me she and the whole village have got the agenda for next week's meeting. She sees that I will be talking at the meeting. I told her yes, I will be talking at the meeting. I told her that I have now got all her sister's papers and things in order, I got all her things sorted out, and I'm ready to pass on to the village the results. She asked me what I meant. I told her she already knows. That her sister has left a few things for some of the people in the village. That I will use the meeting to pass these things on. That I had to give money to the priest for the night she should have been laid in the chapel the night before her burial. She asked where her body was, or did I have her cremated. I told her she is buried and all will be revealed at the meeting. Told her I will see her at the meeting and hung up. I phoned and warned my sons that their aunt is on a fishing trip and not to pass on any information. They don't know what I'm going to say, and if she asks where their mum is buried, just tell her the town, it has more than 10 graveyards. Some are full and can only be used for graves that have already been paid for, or have a space in the grave for a body. Update 6. Okay, so I get to the meeting, bloody church hall. There are 250 people in the audience sitting down with face masks on, it's the law in Scotland. All spread out. The priest goes to Mike and asks if everyone's got their mask on, including the kids. He does a quick check, then starts the meeting. He explains to the locals, it's local election time for the village, and there's a few posts that only one person has put up for some post. He then says that I asked to talk to the meeting as I have now sorted out my deceased wife's papers and things. He then moves from the lectern so I can speak. I call my son's top table to support me while I speak. I start off by telling them she left a few things I need to give back to people in the village. To some it will be a shock, to others not. That I was very disappointed with the people of the village for blindsiding me for 30 years, especially my wife's sister, and by the look on her face she knows why. Next I gave the priest an envelope with £200 in it and told him that was for the night my wife should have laid at rest in the chapel before her burial. I then said she was not put to rest in the village cemetery as she wanted, as I found a paper trail that put her mom and dad on her left side and her affair partner on her right side, so then the grave has been given to my sons for their use. With a few conditions attached. In the folders I have made up as a letter from AP bragging about buying the plot the day after I got one for her to be next to her, so when she's next to mother, he will be next to her. I see no reason to put her in consecrated ground next to one of her lovers. So I buried her body in a non-denonal graveyard. And if asked, I will tell you the town she's in. The meeting starts to get a bit noisy. I then ask if her BFF is in the audience. She is. I pass on the rosary beads that my wife left her. The audience start clapping. Next I ask 6 people to stand up and tell them that my wife had left some things for them to collect. I asked them to come to the big table to collect 1 envelope per couple. I gave them 1 each with their names on. The first one I picked out to talk to was the one who cheated on his wife while she was pregnant. I told him that when he had an affair with my wife he got pregnant. 4 to 5 months after he got his wife pregnant, he said I can't prove it. I told him dates of birth and DNA prove it. I have the letter by you sent to my wife, and later texts. Photocopies were made and put in the bigger bundles made up for the rest of the parish to read with the DNA results. It shows your children are 1/2 sidling to one of mine. That he knows the results, and if he wants to can make himself known to you. But don't hold your breath. He knows about his bio dad being a philanderer. It's not the first or the last time he's had fun in the village, and my son thinks you a Richard Cranium. D*K head, waste of space. I gave his wife the links so she can check online. I told them my son knows who's his bio dad, and it's up to him if he wants to get in touch with them, but if they follow the links there's ways for them to get in touch with him. Next one tried to go sit down, not wanting to know what was happening. I get them both on stage and ask her how long they've been married. She replied 28 years later. How many kids do you have? She said 3. Then I asked him, he said 3. I asked if you're sure of that, he said yes. Then I asked why he sent my wife a letter in the late 90s saying how's our kid doing. He said he didn't. I then pulled out the letter and asked his wife if this is his handwriting. She said it looks like it. I told her I had better proof if she wanted to see it. She did. I gave her the DNA results that showed 1/2 sibling match with her son and daughters. She can check it out online, and give the links out for her to check. Told her the son knows who his bio dad is and she can use the link to get in touch with him if he doesn't get in touch with her. It's not her or the kids, it's the sperm donor's fault. She was the only one who asked if I knew a good divorce solicitor. The last one was Mr. Goody's two shoes, the chairperson, and his non-suspecting wife. The secretary, I asked if she enjoyed being the secretary for the locals. She said yes. I told her the whole village was talking about her behind her back. 1/2 of if not more of the village knew her husband had been cheating on her, and like me they never told her. Her husband for over 30 years had regular flings. On one of them he got my wife pregnant. They must have been married for about 5 years when it happened. In the envelope in your hand is a DNA result that proves 99.9% that your husband is the father of one of my sons. As always, I told her the son knows, and if he wishes to tell you who he is, it's up to him. I gave the wife the link and told her they can get in touch with him via the link. I told the meeting that the fourth betrayed wife's husband has passed away, and I have already seen, and told her of his betrayal, and why I changed the wife's plot to England. And if she wanted it, she could have the wife's old plot to be buried in. She said thank you, but no thank you. She won't be in the same graveyard as her passed away husband. I gave her the links so she can check the tests. And links to get in touch with him. This is where the fight starts. I then say to the whole meeting, I will have a word with the priest to see if he can keep the confessionals open extra this weekend, as the whole village is nothing but lying backstabbers that helped in committing adultery and not one who knows that adultery is against God's teachings. One of the 10 commandments. And you helped people in the act of committing adultery. What a village way to go. This is where the first punch is thrown. Not at me but the chairperson getting a black eye off his wife, the secretary. Then all hell broke loose. They split into 2 groups, those that knew and those that didn't. Or said they didn't. The 3 wives were beating the snot out of hubbies with the help of their kids. 2 came up and asked what one was the husband's, love child her husband sired. I pointed out technically there are bastards as they were conceived out of wedlock. I told her they were here, and if they wanted to, could come and see you as we don't leave for an hour. If not, I gave you a link to use to get information on him. And get access to his DNA page. I then shouted in the hall to the sister-in-law, I no longer wanted anything to do with her, and by her actions her husband should be doing a few checks on her. On her behavior, being as she condoned her sister's behavior, and never said a word for nearly 30 years. So I asked, what are you hiding about yourself? I never did get round to telling them where the grave is, even what town it's in. I've not banned the kids from talking to their auntie, but that says they don't want anything to do with her. Our phone contracts come up for renewal in 2 weeks' time, so we're all getting new phones and new numbers. I will leave an emergency number with the priest just in case anything happens to the house before sale. Update. By 30 minutes, while they get the electron done, all posts are filled, none were returned to their old office, or in fact any office. The priest got the chairperson post and a primary school teacher got the secretary job. None were standing before the meeting. Sort of please take the job before they do. The village is still fighting. I can hear them outside. The 3 husbands are not only getting their arses kicked by their wife, but now by January 2nd the village as well as their sons. Probably because most of the village is gonna spend a long time in confession this weekend, leaving now to go home. I only need to visit the village once or twice due to the sale of the house that will be listed Monday. Paperwork done, picture taken. All I need is a buyer. Then I can take the furniture out to be recycled, most to dump all her stuff the kids don't want, and the bed is to be burned along with all her clothes and things that give me a giggle, plus anything her sister wants. She deserves nothing. We have reached the end of the story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. Man, I have been waiting for the conclusion all week. This is better than TV. I know this is your life and it must suck, but I hope when you look back you'll say that was one hell of a life. Most of us have mundane, soulless existences. I pray for you and your boys, I pray for healing and new life. Comment 2. I'm so sorry you're in the middle of that shite show. I do dearly love how you ended it all though. That took a great deal of strength. I'm also glad you are keeping your kids close. Any butt-dreaming asshole can be a father, as you've obviously learned, but being a dad is the hardest job there is. You've had the burden of teaching your sons and daughters what they need to know to be good, productive men and women. I hope that they have learned a good moral background from you, and not their mother's evil ways. It sounds as though you have done well with your kids. Comment 3. I'm rooting for ya. I know you'll keep your head up, and it sounds like, despite everything being thrown at you, you're still dad and looking out for these boys, finding their families and introducing them to half-siblings, even with a revenge-fueled motive. You're still their dad, no matter what. I'll be on the lookout for how this turns out. OP reply. My sons all know who their bio fathers, deadbeats and losers are. They have known for about 2 weeks, and their bio stepmoms. We worked it out and I told the sons so they know. And to keep the shock one-sided, all of them have spent 2 nights in the house and seen their bios and 1/2 siblings. Except for the passed away one son, he visited the grave and saw his 1/2 sibling. They didn't tell them who they were and can't wait for me to do so on Friday. One said he can't wait, when his eldest 1/2 brother to finds out, younger than him, and in his own words is a male private part, think P or D. Can't wait to kick his arse. As soon as he finds out my son is his elder brother. I told my son his 1/2 brother will be too busy kicking his own dad's arse to fight with him. He needs to get past his mum kicking his butt first. They won't be happy to find out in public. All directed by DNA backed up proof. They won't be pleased my calling them out in public, or called 1/2 the village called girl masters and lies by omission, and the biggest one is her sister. She can try to sue me, but I have the evidence to back it you with texts. Just because she delete her end didn't the Sam her sister's end.